Warzone Season 3 is now live, and I'm going to run you through all the new guns, gameplay changes, gulag, and various changes to the map and game that they've made. So let's quickly look at the playlist updates. As of today, Wednesday the 27th of April, there's Iron Trial quads going into Warzone, as well as Clash, which is 50v50 on Caldera. And then as of next week, they're removing Clash, but keeping Iron Trial quads. But it's also worth noting, in both of these weeks, you are getting standard Battle Royale quads too. And then looking over into the week of the 11th of May, they are adding an LTE called Operation Monarch, which is, as you probably guessed, the King Kong and Godzilla event that they're running. And that's going to be running for 2 whole weeks, from the week of the 11th and the week of the 19th. You can see a quick recap of Iron Trials on screen now, but ultimately, it takes longer to kill someone as you've got 250 base health, there's less loot, less cash, and snipers don't one-shot past about 50 meters, I think it is, and various other changes. But again, look on the screen now for that. Now looking at the map changes, they've updated the Gulag, which is now called Hold, a roughly symmetrical arena based in the belly of a ship moored just off the coast of Caldera, with identical hallways on the perimeter of an otherwise open space. They've also added Dig Site, which can be found between mines and ruins. They've also stated a new skybox, and all that they've said is a dark storm approaches. So I guess we'll probably find out what that is a little bit later on. They've also updated Peak. As you can see on screen now via the photo, they've just made some considerable structural changes, meaning there should be a bit more cover for you to run to and from. They've also updated the runway, which is new barracks, hangars, and other structural additions. And then over to Lagoon, they've added new sandbar paths and cover. They've also added private matches for Resurgence solos, Iron Trials, and probably one of the best quality of life changes, which I know I've been begging for a very long time. You can now activate XP tokens whilst in game. So that means whilst you're searching for a game, you're not using up really valuable time. And then, you know, if you forget to put it on, like I do quite often, then you can just chuck it on partway through a game. And now let's head over to the new gameplay changes. So looking at the new contract that they're adding, it's called Sabotage. This will give players a chance to find a vehicle somewhere on the map, destroy the target, and then you'll be rewarded with an armored truck deployment via a plane. But be warned, anyone could just run and enter this vehicle as long as it's not being occupied by you or a teammate. So someone can really just nick this from right underneath your noses. They've also added a great feature straight from Apex, which is a high value loot zone. This will be added in season though. This isn't straight away, where you'll find high value loot zones on the map, which is marked by a very appropriate $sign. And this indicates the best looting areas in the map, because ultimately you're going to find more rare loot and things like that, along with rebirth supply boxes, the ones that sort of replenish over time. And over to the general adjustments, they've changed the gas mask, and it's a really great change, guys. Basically, have you ever had those times where you've just entered the gas and you're falling down a cliff and you can't pull your parachute and you fall to death because you're stuck in the middle of the gas mask animation? This is no longer the case. You can cancel that animation just by pulling your chute, so you're no longer going to fall to death just because of the gas, which is perfect. They've also massively updated the Most Wanted contract, and this is something I've been talking about for absolutely ages. They've really needed to reward more aggressive gameplay with the Most Wanted contract. So as soon as you kill someone, you get your timer reduced by 20 seconds, which is huge. And then opening supply boxes reduces the timer by 5 seconds as well. Again, another great update, meaning you can run around a little bit more as opposed to just being stuck in a corner or just maybe in a vehicle, something like that. And another great change that they've done is so that players can no longer use the TAC map to directly ping a Most Wanted target. Do you know when you can open up the minimap and just click on the Most Wanted target on your minimap, and then it will just like follow them around for the rest of the time that they've got the Most Wanted? That's no longer the case, which is a great addition. But that being said, that they've changed the refresh rate of the Most Wanted target on the TAC map, so it updates more often as a bit of a counterbalance to the removal of the ping. And hopefully this just sort of brings a bit more of a balance to it, because ultimately when you were Most Wanted, it was very difficult to complete. This should make it hopefully just that little bit easier, basically. They've updated the bounty contract as well, meaning that the target refreshes a little bit more frequently on your minimap. This is more notable when the target is in a vehicle, making it much easier to chase them down in your own vehicle. And another great update here, guys, a redeploy positioning improvement, meaning players that have recently redeployed from the Gulag or have just been brought back will now spawn closer to either their squad or their loadout, which is a great change, because I don't know how many times it's happened to you, but the amount of times I've spawned in and my loadout is just, quite frankly, the other side of the map, and it's extremely frustrating because you've got to float like 1,500 meters, something like that, maybe 2,000 meters. This should just hopefully really limit that. And now another huge change, guys, that they've added is they've added perks that are lootable. So do you know how when you like open a supply box and maybe you'd get like a dead silence? Very similar to that, but ultimately it would give you either battle hardened, engineer, high alert, restock, tempered, quick fix, scavenger, or pointman, but pointman is really just exclusive to plunder. Now, only one of these perks can be equipped at any one time, and you can just ping these perks as well to let your teammates know. And these are add-ons to your loadout perks as well, so it's not going to get rid of them, and it's not going to change the one that you've got on currently. It's going to be like a fourth perk, essentially, which is a great change. And if you do die with this perk, it's unequipped on death, but you do not drop it to allow other people to loot it. They've also made some slight changes to Rebirth Island, just spawn improvements, and the weapon trade station adjustments, just reducing the overall specialist token drop rate. Now also when you trade in a weapon, the station would just look for empty space for your rewards. And it's coming, guys. Later on in this season, they're doing footstep audio improvements. They're looking to bring additional audio improvements to footsteps during this season as a priority, which is great. And another great one coming in the season is the slide camera lock improvement. Do you know when you slide down a vertical slope and then your camera just locks and you can't move it, meaning you just can't quite actually shoot someone? That's going to be changed, which is great. And another great change, mainly for PC players more so than anyone else, on buy stations, you no longer need to make a confirmation when making a purchase, meaning you haven't got to double click, you haven't got to double tap on a controller or anything like that. You basically hit the one you want to buy and it buys it immediately. There's also various bug fixes, which you can see on screen now, but just feel free to pause that. I'm not going to sit and read through all of those as it's just a bit boring. They've also got a list of just other known issues, but again, a bit boring to read through all of that. And now onto the new weapons, guys. They're adding a new marksman rifle, which is the M1916, a semi-automatic rifle with deadly combination of power and fire rate, lethal any range in the capable hands of a marksman. And the other new weapon that they're adding is the Nikita AVT assault rifle, which is a heavy, powerful and fast firing assault rifle, which can be used at both close quarter combat and mid-range combat. So not one for longer ranges here, guys. And if you didn't unlock the KGM40, you now need to get 3 double kill medals with an assault rifle in a single match 15 times. And then for the Whitley, destroy 3 kill streaks with an LMG in a single match 15 times. Unless I'm wrong here, guys, I don't think you're actually going to be able to unlock the Whitley in Warzone. You're actually just going to have to be purchasing Vanguard multiplayer for that one. So they've made some changes to the assault rifle alpha, which is the STG. Basically just kind of changing the magazines on it and some of the barrels, upping the bullet velocity mainly, and then just sort of changing damage range and things like this. So not tons of changes, but some interesting stuff there too. On top of that, the assault rifle Bravo has also been changed. Again, just changing magazine sizes, looking like it's been increased overall. And then the Volkssturmgewehr, again with the magazines, they've moved the bullet velocity penalty and the damage range penalty on a lot of them, and also looked at increasing some of the bullet velocity on some of the barrels. So some great changes overall, but I still don't think it's going to make it particularly meta. And looking over to the Vargo 52, looks like they've generally just kind of nerfed the recoil on that one because it was kind of quite easy to use. And then with the XM4, they've nerfed that as well, meaning it should just be a little bit less dominant. And with the handguns, they finally buffed the top break a little bit because it was pretty useless since they upped the base health, meaning in Gulag it was actually quite hard to use. And then Handgun Charlie and Black Ops Cold War, they've just reduced their headshot multiplier. And then looking at the LMG Charlie, which is the Bren, overall, they kind of nerfed that a little bit, which is kind of expected. It's been so dominant for quite some time. And then the Whitley, they've buffed it slightly, but to be honest, they've not done the things that it needed because its recoil was all over the place. So they've kind of buffed its damage, which I don't feel like's actually going to do anything in particular. So guys, huge changes to the sniper rifles as well. So with the new adoption of the 150 base health in Battle Royale, basically snipers overstayed their welcome a little bit in terms of becoming a bit too strong. So they've changed that as well. So light sniper rifles, so Marksman Rifle Charlie being the Kar 98K in Modern Warfare, the SPR, the Pellington, the Swiss K31, the Type 99 and the Kar 98K, you can no longer one-shot headshot past a certain range. Now, they've not actually specified because they've put like max damage range at like 3,400 or something like that, which that can't be meters. that's just got to be out. So I'm going to assume that it's probably somewhere in and around the 50-meter mark, as that's what they did in Iron Trials, and that's worked out quite well. Though with the heavy sniper rifles, such as the HDR, Sniper Rifle Charlie in Modern Warfare, the ZRG, the 3-in-line sniper rifle, and the Gorenko anti-tank rifle, these still one shot at any range on a headshot. However, snipers like the Rytec, the Sniper Rifle Alpha in Modern Warfare, and the Sniper Rifle Charlie in Black Ops Cold War, just simply put, will no longer hit one-shot headshot. So making those snipers even less useful than they have been for quite some time now. And then looking at the submachine guns, with the Armaguerra, they look like they've slightly buffed it, which to be honest was probably quite needed because it was a bit useless in comparison to other guns. And then with the Type 100, they've kind of buffed it and nerfed it at the same time. Basically, the damage on a certain drum magazine, they've nerfed, but then the visual recoil they've reduced as well, meaning it should be a little bit easier to shoot. And then let's be honest, guys, it was about time that they did it. They've nerfed the Owen Gun to bring it back in line with a couple of other guns. And then they've also done it with the MP40 on the short barrel, meaning you should have a lot more variety in terms of submachine guns you can use going forwards. Huge change to one of the ammunition attachments as well. So subsonic, the bullet velocity penalty is now removed. So this should make for quite interesting changes, probably to the submachine guns, because no one's been running silencers on them because the recoil boost has been so effective. But we've been running the bullet velocity improvement, so lengthened. So subsonic may start jumping in here because it stops you appearing up at the minimap, which could be quite huge. And then just with the muzzles as well for the Vanguard weapons, for the Mercury silencer, they've taken the damage range penalty off. And then for the MX silencer, they've changed it so it decreases your sprint to fire speed by 2% and now increases damage range by 10% as well, meaning that the MX silencer is still going to be the go-to. They're adding new operators as well, but let's be honest, I'm not too fussed about that. And then looking at the download sizes, for PlayStation, it's going to take about 43 gigs for you guys, and then Xbox, 41 gigs, and then for PC, 38.3 gig, unless you've got Modern Warfare as well, where it's going to be close to 100 gig, which is huge. Well, guys, that about wraps up all the changes going on in Warzone. So if you did enjoy the video, hit that like button and go check out the rest of my channel as well, where I post a lot of guides, what the most meta weapons are, some really interesting weapons that you can try out as well. So feel free to check that out. I'll catch you guys in another video.